Yes, Assad, you missed our live stream yesterday, so you would have missed all the fun we had naming our little bird. And now we're just gonna get started. I'm gonna wet my paint. So I do need the browns. Let's see here. Get some clean water. Just gonna toss out a little bit of this dirty air water and start with some fresh, clean water. Okay, yeah, let's do the cup first. I agree. What the heck? Why not? At least the bottom half of the cup. We could always finish the remainder of the cup after we paint the coffee. So this means we have to start off. With our grays. So I've got some Payne's gray here. And I could sketch it. I'm going to try not to. I'm going to try not to sketch the cup. But you can join us and you could sketch the cup. Now, just throwing some colors, some water and colors here. I've got Payne's gray. I've got a nice burnt umber. I've got the light red, it's called, which looks like a sienna, and I just tapped my permanent orange here, thinking that might be coming into play. Maybe even the permanent yellow deep might be. That looks like one of the colors, these warm oranges. And then I've also got the cadmium red hue ready in case I decide to go with some reds. I think that might be it. I don't think there's lemon yellow, or there might be some Orlean. I'm just going to pop a little bit of color onto that last. So I've got 3 yellows, a red, 2 browns, and a gray. That might be all I need for this. I might not even need all of it, but we'll see. And you know me, in true Lisa fashion, I've got my dirty water, my clean water dirty already, because I don't seem to pay attention to which is which. Okay. It's like science class. Pouring water. This is the pouring water live stream, where you get to watch Lisa dip the brush into the wrong water repeatedly. Okay. Well, I better be careful now, or I would have to do a water fetching break, because that is all the water I have. Now, I do have a water brush here, and I've also got my regular paint brushes, so I'm still working out the details of what's going to happen here, but we'll soon know. We will soon know what's going to happen. Amy probably has the whole cup painted already. I'm just going to hover here over this so I can see everything at once, kind of, sort of. Move everything up. And I'm even going to work off this little palette because it has some good colors on it from yesterday. So now just deciding if I shall use a water brush or a regular brush. I'm going to start with this water brush. See if it's working today. Yeah, some water's coming out. Okay, so let's get started. I think this is the first night that I haven't had any serious technical difficulties with OBS. So I'm gonna go right in with paint, and I'm working here with a Payne's gray, and I'm just gonna put some on my palette with a little bit of water just to lighten it up a bit. And I'm using this water brush. So the water is flowing out the tip, and now here is me cleaning it off because there's something else on the tip besides paint. Okay, and I also think it's helpful to have a little piece of paper, 10,000 hours, a little piece of paper to just check what's happening with the brush as you go. All right, I'm going to want a really fine line along the bottom edge of this cup. So, just going to keep this fairly dry. And I'm just going to imagine here the shape and the curve. It's a fairly wide mug, so it's going to be about that long. Haha. Okay, that's where it's going. I've got the line. And here on this side, it fades so much into shadow that we can't even really see this edge of it as it meets up with the other handle side. So let's just go back onto this first side and bring the edge of the cup down. I do see shadows down this whole edge, so I'm just going to bring this line down and curve at the bottom like so. And now I'm going to paint next the little the shadow that's behind this mug. So I'm gonna pick it up, just thinking about my proportions here. The height of the cup on the side is okay, so this much comes down, this much. All right, I have room for everything. I was kind of worried that I might be crowding myself out, but looks good. So then the shadow is going to come out like this on the side, and then it ploops out to the side like this, and then it angles down toward the actual bottom of the cup like so. And then I'm just going to fill this in. So that's that's like a hard shadow for this edge of the cup. And then there is the shadow of the splash that's going to start to come out to the side like this. And then it gets a little bit fuzzier as it goes further away like so. And then we've got the spot where the mug is actually sitting on the table, and we can see that fairly well. Might even come back in with a really dark ivory black later and just increase the contrast there on that little section. And then the cup itself has this curve where the brim is, and it comes out past the edge, so I'm thinking about how this will curve in from here. So it's just like a little curve and then in and forward. Now this curve here is going to be mimicked in the top curve of the mug, so there's going to be that line there, and then it curves in on this side also like that. This is really faint, you probably can't see it, but I was just as happy to do it faintly because I'm not sure how much contrast or how much color I actually want up there. For now, that's going to be good. And now I'm going to put some of the shadow into the mug itself. So the darkest part of the mug is underneath this curve and along this edge. It feels lonely in chat. Well, hi! Don't be lonely. We're here. We are here. Who's there still chatting with you? I think Limey left. And there was someone else. We had Stargazer. Stargazer was here. Amy probably has a brush in her hand. Why don't you grab a pencil, Assad, and you can paint or draw along with us. All right, so this shadow for the cup, I'm leaving a blank space, just like Taylor Swift. And I'm going to draw this color out. I'm just going to tint it out. That's the technical term I use to make a color get paler by adding more water to it. So pulling out the darkness into lightness by using water, and gets fuzzier and fuzzier. Now this is also going to dry lighter than it appears currently. So, and I see that there's sort of a diagonal cast to this shadow, so it becomes wider as it approaches the bottom of the cup. And I'm being careful to leave a line of white, like a little negative space there in the edge of that shadow, just so it doesn't feel too painted and solid. And then I started to make this edge here. So tell us about your day, Assad. What were you up to today? Today is Tuesday. Now, let's see. We've got the curved line at the top and over on this side. So this definitely extends past the edge of the front. And there's going to be dark coffee in here. And this little edge here, I'm just going to tint this out also before it dries too much. Just fade that little bit down. And then over here, there's a little piece that's reflective of something going on the side ground, in the background. And then we have the actual background of the cup. Oh my gosh, it's 4:41 a.m. You should be sleeping. Why are you awake? You must have to do important things tomorrow. Do you have school tomorrow? Alright, so the cup. I'm trying to decide at the bottom edge here. I do believe the cup is darker than the background right here. And then there's a super dark part where it meets the little mug handle. So I'm just going to tint this out also. Feels like I'm just painting with water. It's so light. Maybe no one can see. It's the invisible live stream painting show. I asked your mom to see your video and she said yes, but I have to sleep after this. Well, you should just sleep now and watch the replay. That's my suggestion. So the whitest part of this cup is the handle, and the darkest part is underneath the handle. So I'm going to get some nice dark gray here, and I'm going to paint the shadow of the handle, which starts off a little higher than I thought, a little higher than it looks. It's somewhere like here, and it's going to come out and up, and then it ends with a nice gentle curve like so, and then it hops over the actual handle, and it's a little bit thinner right there, and then it comes in to meet this here. Now all of this I think is like, these two shadows are the darkest parts of the entire picture, so we would need a little more pigment in there. The best way to do that is to actually grab some more paint. I don't know what's going on with this brush, but it's really stiff. Oh, here we go. It's probably got some other crazy color mixed into it. I'll find out after I use it. That's knowing my luck. All right, so darkening that up. I'm still trying to find my style when it comes to painting with watercolors. I like things to look sort of quasi-realistic, but I also don't want them to be totally real. I want them to always maintain kind of a whimsical, I don't know, fantasy, not really fantasy, but dreamy. I want it to be dreamy. So I always try to use colors that are not too dull and not too close to real, but closer. I think they've been closer to real than I've intended, but I'd like them to be a little dreamier. I'm shooting for dreamy. Probably just ending up with total realism in this picture, but that's okay. That's where I'm going. Oh, you don't have school in June? Well, that's interesting. We do in Canada. In Canada, there's school in June. Now, this edge is where the handle meets the top, and there is this inside shadow. This is tricky. This is a tricky one. So an inside shadow along here that's coming down to meet the mug here, and then it almost gets like darker in between, and then a little less paint, a little more water, gonna meet in here like this, and then the top edge will be here, and then it gets in closer, and it comes down, and then this is the background. So this gray here is the background. And I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna make the background blue, because, you know, why not? I'm gonna look for this beautiful cerulean blue, and I'm gonna make this my background color. So just wet on wet here, I'm just gonna tap some cerulean into this and use my water brush to spread that around in the what was formerly light gray area. But this blue is way more fun for a background color. So I'm just gonna tap this in for now and tint it out. That was a spur of the moment decision. I may live to regret it, but this is how we learn. We learn by doing. All right, so then if my background is blue, I might as well just add some more background at this point. So I'm just gonna come along the edge here and leave a little space there. Come along this edge. I'm leaving a little bit of negative space just to see what I might end up doing in there. And then I'm gonna tint it out with some water. No negative space along that shadow though. Don't want any there. Okay. Unkitty! -3, hi! How are you? Nice of you to join us. I am painting this coffee cup with water, coffee splashing out of it. I'm learning how to paint with watercolors, so I'm trying to get as much practice as I can, and this live stream is the way I'm doing it. So thanks for joining us. Unkitty -3, where in the world are you? I would love to know this. If you want to share your whereabouts, you can let us know where you are. Okay, so because I put all this blue in here, I'm actually going to bring a little bit of it into this shadow on the mug, just so that it feels like it didn't have this randomness of only gray. This happened because I started talking about wanting my painting to be whimsical. And now I'm going to town with blues. Blues in my shadows. Blues in my background. Okay, that makes it easier for me to find what to paint in here, because this is now the background. So I'm going to just find the edge of the cup there, a little bit more blue. I'm going to have to put this on my palette because I can't get it thin enough without testing it first. So I don't want it to be pure paint. That would be really dark. I told you that I got an A in my exams. Yes, well that is fabulous. Baha! Kandagi. Nice to see you. And Unkitty, Unikitty. I'm saying it wrong. Unikitty. My -3 is in California, and it's their last week of school, and their birthday's on Thursday. Wow, this is a pretty exciting week for you. Pretty exciting week for you. I wonder if anyone is painting along with me in this live stream. I know Amy is going to paint this cup of coffee splashing. I wonder if anyone else is. I wonder. Okay, so there's my background. And now I've got to continue the background on this side. And it's going to come right out of this shadow, so that's good. I can paint right up to it without trying not to tint out that gray. I think it's dry enough. And a little bit up here as well. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, the shadow just got bigger. That's not the color I thought I had. Silly me. I wasn't paying attention to what I did, and I dipped it right in the gray. Talking about shadows. And then I picked up the wrong color. Just try to grab that off. And get the blue that I thought I was taking up in the first place. Cerulean blue. Right up to here. And then it's going to get tricky because I just made a big wet puddle of gray, which will likely end up spreading itself around where I did not intend to put it. Shocking. Amy is going to need a real cup of coffee. Well, take a coffee break if you must. I'm not going to drink coffee. It's almost 9 o'clock and I'd be awake all night if I had some coffee this late. But I feel you. I feel you. All right, so here's my background. I'm just gonna make a little more water over here. Now, I think I'm ready to think about the splash, which, you know, is probably the most challenging thing about this picture, really, when you think about it, because it's very exciting. So what I'm going to do first is paint in the lightest color. So the lightest color is a yellowish brown, and I could go crazy and just pull in some sort of this is the Orlean hue. I could just pop it really bright like that. Just going to put some of this on my palette and then add a little water. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to paint the splash with yellow, and the cup comes around like this, so there's some splash here and here and then here, and it's like launching itself out of the cup like this. So this is the highlight that's underneath the browns, and this is what's going to give the individual excitement to the coffee itself. So Unikitty -3 is asking about how you fix mistakes, and that is Assad is suggesting, and they are quite right, that we could wipe them off quickly with a tissue if they haven't had a chance to dry. Alright, so this splash here is this splash here, and there's little shadows of it coming up, up and away. And then I could probably just finish that with some splatters, but I'll wait until I'm closer to done. And now I'm just going to take this yellow and I'm going to tint it down into the rest of this mug. And then I'm going to go for a really dark brown, and I'm going to paint it dry, wet on dry, and then I'm going to let the two colors kind of meet each other in here. So now I have to come up with that beautiful coffee brown, and my main brown that I have is sort of a coffee color. It's this burnt umber. And so I'm going to grab some of that and put it on my palette. And that might be fine, actually. I might not need to add anything to it. If I add anything, it'll be red. Yeah, if it's a big mistake, you have to start over. Well, you don't have to start over. You could just change your plans. That's what I usually do. Alright, so I see there's a little bit of like foamy fuzz right close to the edge here, so I'm going to try and leave just a little bit of white there along the lip edge of my cup. And the same thing on this other side. Just going to leave the appearance of something not quite touching. See if I can manage to keep that in place as I do the rest of this. So now here I'm going to come right up to, there's a bit of a drop of water there that's going to interfere with my ability to place this exactly where I want it unless I dry that off. So I'm just drawing off an invisible dot that you can't see. Let's stop the flowing. So I'm going to make a fairly heavy line of the brown right along the edge here of the exact edge of the cup. And then I'm going to fill the space between this and the yellow. And then all of this is going to be wet. Everything from the edge all the way into the yellow will have pigment and paint on it. And then they're going to meet up here. And there's a bit of this like orangey color coming up through the middle, so I'm going to clean this off. and decide if it's red or orange. And I think I'm going to go for the cadmium red, but just a drop. And that's going to be right in through here. And this is kind of what I want, the paints to just mingle and blend around in through here. And then a little bit down in here. And some that comes over this way. And then I'm going to want the more brown to come up and form all these little filigree edges along with what's already there. So I will get some more brown. And try and make something interesting happening in here. So this dark brown is going to come around the back a little further. And maybe a bit more water. Just to get this blending into itself. And it connects right up over here. And then this is lip. And that kind of kicks out over this edge. And then it comes down. And we lose the yellow there. I'm just going to add a little more brown. And now I'm going to glaze really light brown over the top of some of this yellow. Just to take the edge off, because it isn't really yellow, is it? It's really coffee. And over there. And under and over. So you guys are 12 hours apart apparently in California and in India maybe. All right. So the coffee is sloshing out of this cup. All right, Karachi. Karachi and California are 12 hours time difference. So in Karachi, is it now Wednesday? I have never been to Pakistan. Is it hot there? I imagine it is. Okay, so this basically has to dry before I can add any details to it, and I feel like I need to wait for it to be dry to then work it and add more layers of color. So that's what I'm going to do, wait for that to dry. And meanwhile, I could work on my background a little bit with blue, not gray, and just bring it in closer to what's up here already. Flip it over and work on the top. I'm going to make this background even lighter at the top of the page. So I'm just going to come in close, but not too close, that it blends, hopefully, unless I'm wrong and I get too close. Yesterday I must have dropped my paintbrush. I did drop my paintbrush twice on my painting. I made a blob that I did not want. And a third time I almost did it again with this 1-inch brush when I was working on purple for the background of the bird, and I dropped the brush and it landed on the floor, thankfully. Can you imagine? Great big blob of purple where you don't want it to be. That's what you call a mistake. All right. And now I'm just going to add a little more of the blue, just to let it mottle in there to the background. So my challenge becomes how to make so many interesting textures occur in the coffee that's splashing. The rest of it was kind of structural and not too difficult. I mean, easier to figure out. It was not easy to paint. It was easier to figure out. But I definitely see like darker edges that are going to make that more interesting. And there's some white dots in there too along the edge. But essentially now I just have to wait for some things to dry before I can really get in there again without making a mess. Yes, it is Assad and Unikitty who are chatting at the moment. I am painting and chatting. I don't have too much to chat about today though. I was too busy to learn any new things that would be interesting to chat about. All right, let me just look at this cup and see what else I could do to make it pop off the page. I see a fairly dark edge. I'm going to just get my my Payne's Gray and bring a little extra punch to the edges of these. Maybe I'll get a smaller brush. That's always recommended. If you're going to do fine lines, you should use a fine brush. So I've got a number 1 and I've got a number 3. Number 3 is my favorite. Maybe I'll just use it. It has a pretty good tip. It has a better tip than my number 2, which is kind of frayed. It's 1 or 3. I will try them both on my scrap paper. It is Wednesday there and it's super hot. Plus Pakistan has a Ramadan season, so we don't have to eat or drink something. Right. Do you get hungry during Ramadan? I would get hungry, for sure. Oh, you got a new laptop? That is super exciting. New technology is always awesome. Expensive, but awesome. I hope you got a good deal. That's a funny statement, isn't it? I'm waiting for my coffee to dry. You know, you might be waiting for your coffee to cool off so you can drink it. But in this particular case, you're waiting for it to dry. So I'm just trying to decide what to do here for a fine liner. Yeah, I guess I'll go with the number 1. Because technically I should get better at using this brush and stop using my number 3 as my only favorite. Now, some dark gray. Let's see what I have here. Okay. Cheapest HP at Best Buy. Well, that's good. Best Buy often has good deals on laptops. In fact, that's where I got my last one. The most recent last one was an Asus, which I am still using. And before that I had a Dell, which I liked, but I had some problems with the Windows update. It was competing with my Wi-Fi adapter. It kept on kicking off the Wi-Fi every time I would start the computer. In fact, every time I would start the Wi-Fi, it would turn it off instantly. So I just eventually got frustrated and decided to replace it. Of course, then it behaved itself after I replaced it. Anytime I would use it as my secondary computer for something, it would be good as gold. Alright, so I just made a little bit, extra bit of weight on shadows down there. Need a laptop ASAP. Couldn't be picky. Yeah, well, when you need new technology, it can happen. but you need it quickly. And let's see. Over here, there's this little bit of an edge. I'm just gonna find that edge. Paint it. I might regret that, but that's okay. $50. Yeah, that's a long drive. I usually look online before I head out to the store and see what's what. Sometimes they'll tell you like have so many in stock. So maybe you did that before you made the trip. I do live near big box stores. Sometimes I wish I didn't though. Holding my breath. Okay, so it looks dry. I mean, it's not fully dry. Actually, no, the red part is definitely nowhere near dry. So we wait. I should get one of those dryers. I have a hair dryer. It's really noisy. Pre-dawn mealtime. A pre-dawn mealtime. So in Ramadan, you don't eat between sun up and sun down, but you can eat when the sun sets. Is that how it works? While the sun is set, you do eat. I think that's my understanding. During the daylight hours, you fast. Am I wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I do not partake in Ramadan. So I'm not sure how it works for sure. All right. Yeah, daughters are good for helping out with technology. Amy said she had some help scoping out a new laptop. All right, so I'm getting impatient with the coffee, so I'm just gonna do something here that I noticed that needs to come closer to the back edge. For perspective, the back edge needs to appear like it's covered up with coffee so that the cup looks like it's got depth. Okay, now let's see. There's this part that's going to be the normal brown, and then there's really dark over here. So how am I going to darken up this brown? Let's see. I don't want this tiny brush, that's for sure. Can't get much paint out of that. Let me just change up. Go back to number 3. Number 3. So to darken up this brown, I think you're allowed to drink though, right? During Ramadan, it's only the eating of the meals that's restricted, perhaps. Am I right about that? Okay, so I'm gonna grab that light red of the light red brown color here. I'm gonna add that into my burnt umber, and then I'm gonna darken it with some kind of a blue, maybe Prussian, just to turn it into more of a shadowy color. I could regret this too, but I'm gonna try it out and see what happens. So Prussian blue is like my go-to blue for turning things into shadows. It seems to work a lot of the time. Except I had cerulean a little bit on my brush there, so it's two blues coming out. That's the Prussian that I was looking for. All right, now I'm just gonna mix that a little bit into these browns. That looks like a nice dark color, nice dark neutral, but with some blue in it. Okay, so I'm gonna get a dry brush because I was watching a video from the Mind of Watercolor about intensity. Amy, are you on the 30 by 30 direct watercolor Facebook group that Mark Tarot Holmes started? Somebody was asking about intensities. They painted a nice picture, but everything was kind of washed out, and they said that they weren't sure They understood that you needed to use water when you painted with watercolors, but they wondered how you could actually get it to look like there was color. And somebody linked in a video from the Mind of Watercolor, who I watch a fair bit. There's Steve Martell or somebody like that. And it was talking about the way to ensure you have the amount of paint that you want on your brush by just varying the wetness of your brush versus the it's more about the wetness of your brush than it is about the mix of the paint on the tray, something like that. Not explaining it very well. Now I'm trying to see where the deepest, darkest colors are here in this coffee splash. I'm leaving in the red, giving this sort of a blended look. Lighter over there. And then there's some light brown up here. And that curves up over. Then we have it right along this edge here too. So now I'm going to try and achieve that one little ridge that looks like an M with its arm stretched out. So it comes from there. Oh, I see what I did. I blended this one into it. It's not the same one at all. But it's okay. You make a mistake, you just go with it. Alright. So, the splash is getting browner and browner all the time. Sure, I can leave a link. I'll send you a link later on. It's just a group where people share their pictures, and everyone's doing this 30 by 30 watercolor direct challenge for the month of June. From 3 to 7:30, no eating, no drinking, no bad habits allowed, like saying bad words. We have to pray 5 times, and we eat at 7:30, so that's when our fast closes. Yeah, it takes dedication for sure to be able to do all of those things. I don't say bad words anyway, so that part will be easy. But the food, the not eating would be a challenge. I get hungry. And when I get hungry, I get cranky. So maybe then it would be difficult to reserve my words as only good ones if I'm hungry if I'm cranky because I'm also hungry. Alright, so looking at this splash of coffee, it feels like it doesn't have that shape that I'm looking for, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure exactly why. I think I need some more brown here, but I don't want it to get muddy. This one is more of a challenge than I expected it to be, but that's okay. That's why I want to paint different things all the time, every day, so I can learn, so I can be surprised and discover something that didn't work and figure out why. So that's why when flowers were so hard, I decided I definitely had to paint flowers again the next day, because I needed to figure out why they were so hard. Probably going to need some gouache on here as well, just to give it those little pops of highlight color. So what about that brown red? It's called light red, but it's light red brown, really. Maybe I'll use a little bit of that somewhere. It's kind of boring. It's kind of boring. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But these little drops definitely need some brown in them, so I'm going to add this red. So small kids only keep a half fast, and that's from 3 to 12, but all adults have to keep a full one. Well, it makes sense that small kids wouldn't have to do the full fast because obviously they're learning. Plus they're growing. I feel like some of the cerulean blue leaked itself into my yellow. I'm not sure what happened there, but I'm just going to see if I can't clean that up a little. Might even just be that I overworked it. I'm not sure. Right there feels like something happened that I didn't mean to happen. So happy accident, as Bob Ross would say. All right. Well, my splash is not as splashy as I would like it to be. That's for sure. It looks better on the computer screen than it looks in my real life. It actually kind of looks like a splash when I look at it on my monitor. Maybe I'm just too close to the subject. If I look at both things, if I look at my own picture and the reference photo, I don't like mine. But when I just look at mine without looking at the reference, it's not so bad, really. But I will put some white into like the reflections here, just a little bit, just a few dabs, and I might do a few more splashes over here, but I'm tempted to do it with like just literally a splatter, and I think that's what I'll do. I'll do that next. So I'm just going to clean my brush off, and I'm just going to have a look here for a second from a distance. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was. So I'm just going to grab some of this. I'm going to get a lot of it on my brush. And it's using Orlean Hue. Seems to have gotten a little bit of Payne's Gray in it though. So I'll grab a little fresh off the tray. A little bit of clean water. Alright, I'm just going to splatter this. See what happens. Let's see. And then some brown. Same deal. I need it to be gloopier. I can't work with my left hand. What am I thinking? I'm not left-handed. Not even on the best of days. Okay, that might be enough. Paint. Sure. But I do still need some little yellow dots. Abishnan Nagalingam. Hello! Lockheed MS 1486. That's a very long username. Nice to see you. This is a live stream of me painting coffee and people chatting with me while I do. All right, so a little bit more yellow up here for these the Star 22. Nice job. I'm not a beginner. I draw good. Paint is just a tool. Yes, that's right. I'm a beginner at using watercolors, but I'm not a beginner at drawing, not by a long shot. But this is a whole different feeling. When you paint with watercolors, they're a little bit cranky. They get their own ideas about what they want to do, and you just have to go with it. So as much as I have lots of experience with drawing, it doesn't always feel like it helps for doing watercolor work. So these are some splashes coming out of the cup. Like so. So it's 9:30 and I'm getting close to finished. I'm going to do some highlights on the coffee that's in the cup, and maybe some on these splashes also. And then I'm going to maybe try to do a speed paint. Yay for speed paints! Now that I know what works and what doesn't, sometimes the speed paint ends up being better than the original. Yesterday's little bird, I actually thought my speed paint was cuter than my original. The speed paint took like 8 minutes. So, where is my gouache? I believe it is in my bag. Check. I take my paints with me in my backpack. And that is exactly where it is. So, a small brush like number 2, and a little gouache in this little right up here. So let's see, little reflection there and there and here and some here. I mean, I'm doing it the way it looks. Silly me and being like particular about matching it up exactly the same. It doesn't probably need to be the same, but I want it to be somewhat realistic looking, and obviously the realistic one knows where the little reflections would be. And then I'm going to see if I can't point this to a really small point and just add a highlight along this little wave along here, holding my breath because I have to. Well, that gives it a bit of a wavy look. It's pretty good. Pretty good. And that might be all of the highlight that I need to put in it. I'm just trying to see in here if there's maybe a little more white than that. I think that's all. That's all. I might just highlight this little edge of the cup a little bit because just going to paint out where the blue sort of seeped on in an uneven fashion, and then just refine this edge a little bit of the cup. Alright, well, since I have it out, I might as well really pop up this little cup edge all the way around here and then down this side. Okay, might as well do this front edge because that's the lightest part of the picture. Lots of LOLs. Okay, I'm stopping now. My coffee's looking scary. Well, you should definitely stop and maybe do a speed paint. because when it starts to look scary, you've gone too far. All right. If I don't stop, mine's going to look scary too. But I am going to do a speed paint. So, clean off the gouache off this brush. And that's all right. I'm happy with that. I wasn't sure I would be, to be honest. At one point, I was considering disowning it, saying that it was not my painting. But in the end, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I like the shadows. I think I did a good job on the shadows. Maybe I need a little bit more here. Feels like something's off about that. Maybe not. I think it's just that I lost it right along this little spot here. I think it just needs a tiny little bit of encouragement, of continuity right here. Not much. That might help. Yeah, that's pretty good there. And then I think that's as good as it's gonna get. Maybe. I keep thinking of different things. Maybe I'll put a little bit more shadow right in here. A little bit of water. Just in here, along from that brim, and here, just a tiny bit. Yeah, that helped. That helped for sure. Just seeing a couple little spots here where my edges could be a little bit more defined. Like that. But then I'm done. That's all she wrote. Okay. That is my splash of coffee. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Okay, so now let's see. Lots of LOLs. Thank you, Amy. I think it's not too bad. And Assad is now got 5:30 in the morning. I'm not sure. Did you just get up or did you go to sleep first? Did you wake up at 4 a.m. so you could eat some food before your fast began? Oh, I don't even know. Why would you be so? Why would you stay awake at this hour if you didn't have to? And so the star says the coffee like very real. Thank you. Now I'm going to get another piece of paper and do my speed paint. So I think this is Artist Loft. Seems like inexpensive paper here. I'm gonna work off my original so I can see the two. And I think my stream might end a little early tonight. I thought it would end at 10, but I certainly can't spend 25 minutes doing a quick paint. That would not qualify or classify as quick by any imagination. So, what's going on? Okay, can see everything. I'm all ready. We'll get the chat here. Just close my OBS down a little. Let's see, live stream. Okay, so this time I'm going to start with the coffee because I know what the shape should be and what the colors are. So I'm going to use my number 8 and I'm going to do the yellow and the brown with the red. I'm just going to do that first. And then I'm going to let that dry, because that was the problem we had before, was there was a lot of paint there and it had to dry. So if I want to do anything at all to it after the fact, it will need to be dry. Alright, so it is 9:36. Oh, 7 just changed. That's me starting my quick paint. Grabbing a little bit of this Orlean Hue yellow. I'm just going to plop it here and send it off. And I'm going to sploosh it over here and send it off there as well. And got a little more water to these, and I'm going to turn them into little dots of paint that are practically bubbles. Okay, now I'm going to get a clean brush and coffee brown, which was this burnt umber, and I'm going to bring the curve of the cup under like this, and a little bit of red in here, and then water. It's going to be too much red. I'll clean it off my brush. Pick up some brown and spread all this together. I can't really chat during the speed paint. Lisa goes quiet. Everyone holds their breath to see what will happen. Okay, so that's going to be the splash. We'll need some highlights and some lowlights if it gets dry in time. Now I'm going to paint the cup. And I'm going to paint it in negative space using my background. And I think I'm happy with the blue, so I'm going to go for that some more. Let's see what'll happen here. I'm going to add the shadow after, so right now I'm just going to come down the side like so, and then under the bottom like so, and then up the side like so, and then there's going to be the handle like so. Inside the handle, like so, and then background, blend it out. This paper doesn't tolerate water as well as the other one does, so, but it does dry faster, which is helping me out, I think. Alright, I don't know if that's helping at all, but I just restarted the stream. We'll see if that helped. Hopefully it did. Alright, so it seems like I have it back. Hoping that you can hear me, see me now. If you're still here, we lost a couple minutes of our speed paint. And if I lost you, I'm just going to keep going here. I'm not sure, but art for the sake of art, I will continue. What have I got for this now? I was going to get some gray and do my shadows. Oh, good. Thanks, Amy. I stopped and restarted my streaming software. Thank you for letting me know. Computers are funny. I didn't do anything, obviously, because it just can't handle the speed paint. I was painting so fast that the stream stopped. Alright, so I'm just adding the shadows now down the side of the cup. all the way to the bottom, and same thing across from this edge and down here. And that's the light shadow. Now I need a dark shadow here in the blue area, and it's coming out like this. The blue's still wet, so it's going to be a very fuzzy shadow, but a shadow nonetheless. And one over here. This one's going to be very fuzzy. Not so bad. And it's going to come in here, around behind. And I've got a little dark edge up here. And it comes down over the front. So I'm going to give myself 2 extra minutes because we did lose the stream in there for a time. And I had to manage the technical difficulties. So I lost this edge. I'm just going to add a little bit of gray there just to hint at it, even though that's totally the wrong color. So I've got the darkness here, and I want to do the bottom edge. I'm just concerned that it's not dry enough to do, but it might be okay. And sharpen this up. Okay. Speed paint of coffee cup underway. Well, it definitely looks splashy, doesn't it? And just got a little edge here. And let's see, what else? What else do I need to do before I go in for highlights? I guess I could try and put some more paint here in this shadow. I picked up some blue when I just did that, and I like it in this shadow. It's sort of a steel gray, which is more interesting than just straight up gray now that my background is more blue. So I think that looks good. Okay. I think I just need some highlights, and that it would be good. Yeah, I think the choppy was when I reduced the speed, and then the looks good now, Amy, I think it's because I restarted my software completely. Okay. So I just need to define some edges up here in the coffee, and that was when I used this brown mixed with blue. And so that added the dark edges to this. Well, it's not dark enough. More Prussian blue in my brown. That's better. Well, maybe more. That blue paint must get really dirty because I don't proof it very often, and I'm always using it as the shadow color for everything else. So who knows what's going on with that paint right now. It's probably not really blue. Alright, so here I'm just adding these waves in the coffee so that they can look like they're dark in some spots. I feel like I am getting faster at these speed paints. And I think we're maybe losing the stream again. I see. Pause for thought. My apologies. I don't know why. No idea. Yeah, we may have lost it. We may have lost the end of the stream. Just going to have to wait and see. Oh, good. So you can hear me mumbling here about whatever's going on. Nice. I won't tell any of my trade secrets while I'm wondering if the stream is working. I'm just going to add a little more shadow down to the bottom corner of the mug, because I didn't draw any shadow there, this little line that delineates the actual edge of the mug. And maybe darken it and thicken it along that edge. And then I'm going to try and go back in with my gouache up at the top. Let's see what's going on there. What is going on there? Yeah, it's probably the full moon. You're right. It could be. Everybody's on the internet. So it's slowing down. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put these little dots into the coffee just to show a little bit of like splashy bubbles and reflections. Just to give it some life. Feels like the highlights and the lowlights are the most important thing when it comes to painting. Like, that's what I'm learning. I'm trying to decipher what makes a painting a good painting, what brings it up and off the page in a way that it's going to add some white. Now I have it out to these little splashes because they seem kind of green. I think that must have hit the blue. Drop of water there. I know I'm supposed to be speed painting, but I could not resist. I think there needs to be some white here too. I'll leave it alone before I end up mucking it up, because that happens. I find that you spend so much time looking at something up close, you think that it needs more, but what it really needs is your eyes to stop looking at it. And then it's okay. You look at it later and you're like, oh, it's fresh. I see you. All right, just highlighting down the edge of this cup and down the bottom corner a little bit. And this bottom corner looks good. A little highlight here on the handle. Okay. That's probably it. And they both look like wet cups of coffee, and I guess one looks like one that I did in a short amount of time with technical interruptions. I could do some splatters on this one. So let me just grab my yellow and my brown and a nice soupy brush. So here's the yellow. The yellow looks kind of green on my palette. I'm just going to clean it off on the tissue here. Just going to clean the actual paint. So it's been mixed a couple times with something else and doesn't look so yellow anymore. It's my clean water, but I'm almost done, so go straight in there. All right, lots of water in this paint. These are not transparent paints. I've got some new paints coming later this week. They're Daniel Smith, and they were super expensive, but I think they're going to make a difference in my control of things like splatters and transparency. So there's the yellow splatters. Now I'm going to put some brown splatters on here. I forgot to do the background behind the cup, so I'm going to have to go back in and do that too. And then see if I can't put some blue up here without making a total mess of everything else. At least give the idea of some blue. Otherwise it looks like, yeah, that's good. Okay, so that is my speed paint version of this coffee cup. Splashing coffee everywhere. All right, well, let me just have another look at what's going on with this stream. Oh, it looks like it came back and everything's fine. Good, good. Yeah, and now it says bad. It can't decide if it's good or bad, but you said you could hear me. And we're going to call this the end of today's stream. We've got the full length time version of the splashing coffee, and we've got the speed paint version. I think they're both reasonably decent. And yeah, so this is day 5 of the 30-day challenge that is going on Facebook, and I'll send you a link for that. Maybe I can grab it right now. Just let me see if my computer can handle me opening a browser window, because Obviously it wasn't very happy with everything else, whatever that was going on. And let's load it here. Oh my gosh, super slow. Super slow, super slow. All right. Wish there was a quicker way to navigate on Facebook, but it always feels like I have to search up everything. So yeah, there's a lot of really amazing pictures being painted by, like, there's 2,000 members that have joined, and this is the link. I'll put it in the chat. Day 64 of the 100-day project. There, that's the link that you can use to find the 30 by 30 watercolor Facebook group where people are posting the pictures they're painting for 30 days in June. And the whole idea is going direct, so without doing sketching with a pen or pencil before painting, which was my go-to. When I first started doing watercolors, I would always just, I'm an artist that draws, so I would always start with either ink, or if I wanted to be super careful, I'd start with pencil first and then do ink, clean off my pencil, and then paint between the lines. But the whole idea of this challenge is to see if you can't paint first without drawing any lines. So today that's what we did, or that's what I did. I went direct to watercolor, and I admire you for going for 100 days. That's a lot of days. I mean, I might do 100 as well. I did about 3 or 4 days in May before I started on this June challenge, because I started getting excited about watercolors in May. And I'm just going to sign my name on here. I should sign these little ones too. I tend to not sign them because they just feel so rushed. But it's art. Perfect. Yeah, just check it out and see if you want to join that group. You can see what everybody's up to. Okay, so this was it. We did it. Another day of live streaming watercolors. I'm on again tomorrow. I would have to look at the info to tell you what time. I don't keep track. It's tomorrow, Wednesday. I think it's in the evening, maybe. Just let me look. I can tell you what time. YouTube. And live streams. So live streaming tomorrow. Let's see, it's being super slow. Tentatively, events are set as, where's my Wednesday? I don't know. You'll have to check back. I'll send you a message. I'll post it up. Should be here, but it's not showing. No idea what happened to the Wednesday link that I started to put. Okay, well, that being said, this live stream just happened. Yeah, remembering passwords is always lots of fun. If I can draw abstract, I'll definitely try it. Yeah, you can do anything you want, as long as it's direct to painting. And I'm glad you joined me again, and we'll see you in the next stream, which will probably be tomorrow. Alright, now I have to figure out how to stop the stream because everything was going so poorly. Alright, I think I found the button. Alright, so thanks for joining me, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.